How's it going, everyone? Thanks for joining us today. This is going to be a live Q&A going over the Orbiter Med and Booster by Kalogon. I am Zach, and our other TSM, Andy, is going to be joining us today.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and while we wait for everyone to get started, we're just going to tell you a little bit about Kalogon, but also feel free to answer those polls you see there in the on the side in the chat, as well as just drop in where you guys are from and where you've heard about us in the chat. We'd love to learn that about you. But a little bit about Kalogon. So I've been with Kalogon for almost 4 years now. So I was our first sales hire, and we started about 4 years ago, and we started with our first cushion, the Orbiter Classic, and it was founded by our CEO. He left SpaceX, worked with a bunch of engineers in the area, and they asked all the clinicians like what that common issue was, and they all said pressure injuries. So Tim and a bunch of engineers went and worked together and found a solution for what they heard was a big problem in the area. So we came out with our first cushion about 4 years ago, and now we have the Orbiter Med, which is our latest and greatest version of the cushion, as well as we have a little booster. So today we'll be talking about those two devices. So in the meantime, we'll just give a few minutes for you guys to join in. And Andy, if you want to give a little background of yourself while we give people some time to answer the polls and join in the chat.
So I recently joined the team at Kalogon. It's been about 4.5 months. I'm based out of Atlanta, and I help service the Midwest, New England, and Southeast. So really excited to be with the team, and getting to work with Zach is always a privilege.
I appreciate that. No, it's been a pleasure for Andy's joined the team. So we're super happy to have him on board. And yeah, he's been great since joining on. So it's been really cool going to the conferences together. So hopefully we'll get some more field time together here soon.
Yeah, I know we were in Philadelphia last week, so we
Yeah.
had a good chance to meet with a lot of folks there. It was a really great conference.
Yeah, we were at the NSM Philly show, so that was a really good turnout. And then after that, I was out on the road in Oklahoma this week, and now finally back in the office for a couple of days before I go out to Michigan next week for some in services with one of our independent reps out there. Do you have any
Yeah.
upcoming travel?
I don't have any upcoming travel. I was in the Panhandle of Florida this week, in Pensacola and in Panama City, meeting with some folks down there. I had never been down there. I didn't realize it was the central time zone, so that kind of threw off my planning a little bit. But it was a really great opportunity to connect with some folks down there.
Sweet, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I think we've given some people some time to join in. I want to be mindful of everyone's time today, so I'll go ahead and I will get started on the booster. I saw we actually had a question pop in from Tim Sanders, one of our ATPs out in Ohio, about the booster. So I'm going to go ahead and read that question and then answer it for you guys so everyone can kind of learn about the booster process and how it's set up. So Tim was wondering if we could walk through the booster setup process. So for a booster, you can set it up in two different ways. You can use our phone app or you can use the clinician mode. So to get into clinician mode, you just hold these two buttons down right here. Then it's going to verbally tell you entering clinician mode. Clinician mode enabled. And now this back button is your pump, and this is your vent. So from a completely flat air cushion, you just install the little tip over the valve of the air cushion. Make sure the valve is open. Then you can pump up the air cushion to your desired level. And then once you're at your happy level, you can go ahead and save the pressure by holding this down. And it's going to exit clinician mode. And now once that's exited, that pressure is now set and saved relative to that patient and that cushion. So if they get off their cushion, the booster will actually go into a rest mode where it kind of shuts off and waits for it to send someone sitting back on the cushion again. So then whenever you sit back down, it will kind of chime and let you know it's back on and then go to your last set pressure. So it's going to make sure that if it did lose any air some reason whenever you got off, it maintains that pressure you set it to whenever you get back on the cushion. I see the next part of Tim's question is once it's calibrated while sitting on the cushion, what happens when I get out of my wheelchair? Does the booster go into standby until I sit back up? Yeah. So yeah, Tim, whenever you do get off it, the booster will go into a standby mode. And then whenever you get back on, it will go back to your to your set pressure. And the booster won't change that level you see in the app right there unless you go in there and manually override it. So even once you set it up using the device in clinician mode, you could then connect using our phone app, see where that level is in the app. And then if you wanted to, you could adjust it using the phone app just by sliding it up and down. But in order to do that, you have to override the clinician set level in there. So a pop-up will come up on the screen and say, "Are you sure you want to override your clinically set pressure?" So you have to like really override that pressure you as the ATP or the clinician would set up. Um, and the next one, he says, if I'm sitting a bit differently from day to day, like leading from side to side, will the booster recognize and adjust the pressure? So yeah, so if it notices any change, it's going to automatically adjust. So if you're leading to one side and that's causing a pressure shift, the booster will automatically inflate or deflate based on what it's reading to make sure you're at your set level. There's also ambient sensors inside the booster. So let's say if you're on a road trip going from Denver, Colorado down to Florida, it's going to sense that change in altitude and automatically vent or inflate, same as an airplane. If you're taking off on an airplane, it will sense that altitude change and automatically adjust. When I have my booster in my car, when I open my car door, you'll actually will hear it kind of vent because it's sensing the altitude change from just the pressure change of a closed car door to the open car door. Um, so the booster is kind of sensitive in that sense, where it does. And then if you do block the airway, it will verbally alert you for things. So his next question was for any warnings, will it alert you? So if there is like a leak inside your air cushion, the booster will sense the leak. It will verbally tell you the leak has been detected. Then it will also inflate and make sure your cushion is properly inflated at your set level still until you can go and get that leak patched or get a new air cushion. So we knew that inflation and keeping air cushions was one of the biggest heartaches for caregivers. No matter how good the education is, a lot of times clinicians were seeing a loved one go and like overinflate someone on an air cushion. Well, now the booster takes all that maintenance out of the picture. There's only the only charging on this is just a USB-C port on the back, and it's a 7-day charge. So we recommend, every 3 to 5 days, make sure you charge it, and then this device will always stay attached to your air cushion and will maintain your clinically set pressure. So this is a little device. It's not coded by insurance. Well, it's miscellaneous coded KO108, but it's been a really nice device to help with the maintenance and taking like the heartache from our loved ones. So yeah, that's the booster. I hope I answered your question good there, Tim. I believe you're in the live audience, but if you have any other questions about the booster, feel free to reach out to me out of this and we can dive deeper into it. But it really is a neat device that you only have to set up one time for the pressure relative to that patient on that air cushion, and then the booster will maintain and manage that set pressure until you go in there and you want to change it. And like I said, it can be charged on the go. It's USB-C charging, and then we just recommend every about 3 to 5 days give it a charge. That way, you won't have a dead booster on there. But even if your booster does die, you won't lose any air inside your cushion. It just won't, adjust based on what it's reading at that time. But does anyone have any questions about Booster in the chat? If we don't have any questions about Booster, I will give the floor to Andy so we can jump into Orbiter Med. Oh, how loud is the pump in the Booster? Great question, Steve. So the here I can let me go in here for you. So I'll put it into clinician mode. It's not very loud. Um,
Clinician mode.
So when I'm turning clinician mode, let me try to get it near like the microphone. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but it's like a little vibration more than anything. And then when it vents, it sounds like it's like a little air kind of hissing out in a sense, but it's very quiet in that sense. And then if you want it to be quieter for like the alerts and like the voice box, you can go into the app and actually turn that completely off or down, depending on, or even up, depending on how you want to, have your device. But then to exit it, you just hold those down again, and then it would exit clinician mode.
Exiting clinician mode.
Great question though, but yeah, it's meant to be relatively quiet. Same with the Orbiter Med. We made it so the control box itself is pretty quiet. We had early feedback that it was a little bit loud, so we went and make iterations to quiet it over time.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions about the booster in the chat?
Perfect. Well, Andy, the
All right.
floor is all yours for
Yeah.
Orbiter.
Cool. Well, I can switch back over to the Orbiter Med. Thanks, Zach, for that great overview of the booster. The price. So the MSRP for our booster is around 500, and it really kind of depends on, also where you're going through as well for the pricing on that. Any other questions about the booster just before we switch gears? Okay, cool. All right, I'll be able to kind of give a quick overview of our E2609 custom coated Orbiter Med cushion. So at a really high level, I have a mini one right here. Um, it is a custom coated cushion that's designed to help prevent pressure injuries. And it does that by a combination of a high density foam base that allows for that level of customization in the ordering process. And on top of that, we have 6 anatomically placed air cells. And those bladders can be controlled through a smartphone app, which you can see up in that picture. And on top of that, we have an additional layer of foam for immersion and comfort. Um, and it is available in different dimensions. We can go from 15 by 15 all the way up to an extended size of 27 by 27. Um, and it can support about 330 pounds in that kind of standard size, going all the way up to 550 pounds in our extended dimensions. But the real magic of the cushion is not only with those air bladders being able to build that custom seating experience, being able to inflate and deflate them, building that kind of that comfortable surface. But what we can do with the control box, which is connected to the cushion, is be able to really utilize our advanced pressure management system. And that's where you can inflate and deflate and build that custom seating experience, save those presets throughout the day, and be able to really offer up to 9 different seating surfaces. For example, if you want to set up a transfer setting and rise them all the way up, or if you want to set one where you're wearing a certain pair of shoes, or you're performing a certain type of activity, you can have that type of control all at your fingertips. Um, but what really kind of sets that advanced pressure management system apart from some other options is that once we are locked into those levels, the advanced reactive customizations will be able to respond to shifts in the body weight of the user as well as to their environment with the ambient sensing system. So just like with the booster, if there's any changes in pressure, if there's any changes in temperature, changes in elevation, it will be able to accommodate for that and be able to maintain those pressure levels. But where the real abilities for it to be able to help prevent those pressure injuries is when you enter into redistribution mode. You can kind of see it at the bottom of the app right there. It has the option to go in 2, 3, and 5 minute cycles where it will go through each one of those anatomically placed bladders and be able to remove that pressure and then reapply it. And as it cycles through those, it will be able to revasculate the tissue, being able to offer that opportunity to help prevent those pressure injuries. And like I said, you can do that in 2, 3, or 5 minute cycles as it goes around the whole seating area. And before I go any further, I just want to see if anybody had any questions about the advanced pressure management system or the cushion itself. I know I'm kind of going through it kind of quickly. Cool. Okay. So we do have the advanced pressure management system inside the control box, which can hang off the back. We have a pouch. You can see in the picture, but I have one right here. It's like a little backpack that can hang off the back. We also have 3D printed mounts where you can attach it to the back and slide it on right here, clicking it on. Additionally, uh, we have an extender where you can control the control box on and off, as well as you can see the status light. You can plug it into charge all at your fingertips. Additionally, we also have an XLR adapter, so you can plug it into your power chair as well and be able to charge it at the same time as you're charging your chair. Um, Anybody else have any other questions about those accessories before I go any further? Yeah,
Mm,
and going back to it being an E2609 custom coated cushion. Yeah, there we go, full photo so I can show it. So there's for that code, there is customizations that you need to do to the dense foam base, and it may be kind of hard to see on this little guy, just with the being black on black. Um, but if you go through our order form, you'll be able to see this as well. So there's going to be the lateral thigh supports, which are along the outside of your thighs, a medial thigh support, which would be in the middle as well, and then the posterior lateral pelvic supports along the back, and then the pre-ischial ridge. So if you're able to get 2 of those 4, you'd be able to qualify for that E2609 or apply for that E2609 coding. We can also offer a scrotal well customization, as well as be able to go for the leg length discrepancies as well. And let's see if I can show you on this one. We can also do a customization for the air hose length. Um, and all of this, the cover is what machine washable, so you can put it in cold, hang dry, and inside of that there is also a incontinence cover. See, we got some questions
Yeah,
from Steve. Yeah,
yeah.
so
We got a couple questions in the chat. Do you want to answer that? How much the weight of the control box, and I can answer Heather's question.
yeah, so the box, it's about 3 pounds.
Yeah, it's not too heavy. We haven't noticed like any pushback on the weight from that, Steve. Especially if we mount it towards like the center of like on a manual chair, it doesn't really add any weight to each side. And Heather for the setup. So whenever you're setting it up, typically like we're seeing the clinician, ATP, and the end user will be involved in that process together. Typically with a pressure mapping system, so you can really dial in the pressure, and then as the clinician, you can either give your client access to the app, or if you don't want them to have access, you don't have to give them the app. We work with a lot of different VAs that don't even like give their veterans like the app if they don't have it on their smartphone or something. So that kind of is in the hands of the clinician and ATP if you want to give your user the control. But we do see a lot of times end user does have control of it to make those adjustments. That way, once you set it up and they're at their home, if they realize there's like some pressure in certain areas, they can then go in there and adjust it with the help of you and the ATP as well as us over the phone. And for the 3D printed mounts, we have done something in the past where like we've done where they could purchase like the prints and like do an NDA, but that's something that we could talk with the team about with the 3D prints with the mounts. But we can always get you a replacement mount if needed or any custom one since we 3D print it in house. We could work with the engineering team to make you like a custom mount if needed. Um,
Yeah, we just did that this week for some folks
no,
in Minnesota. So yeah.
cool. Yeah, so like, for sure, reach out, Heather, if you wanted to get like a custom 3D printed mount. We could for sure get something going for you. Um, And then Christina, I see. What's the plug customization? Um, Not sure what question, like what customization that's referring to. We do have like different like extender cords and like an XLR charger. Was this what you're talking about? The little XLR adapter? This will plug into the control unit and then plug into the XLR port on the power chair. It allows the user to charge right directly from their power chair on the go. No, the XLR is it's just for to keep it charging on the go. I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah, because the box, I may not have touched on this, but our control box, it has a battery life of about 16 to 20 hours, kind of depending upon how often it's being used with that redistribution cycle or just however many adjustments you're making throughout the day. So definitely it's one of those things where, you can charge it overnight or charge it when you're charging your other devices. It takes about 4 hours. Um, but if you want to plug it in with that adapter into your chair, you can charge it at the same time as your chair. And similarly with the booster, there are the audible alerts on this as well. So it'll tell you if there's a low battery alert. It'll tell you that, as well as there'll be a status indicator light that will tell you that as well. Is it this guy, the extender?
I think Kelly was asking Christina
Yeah,
if like
I was
what
just
she
gonna
was.
show it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out too, like the for the plug cost customization.
Oh, it's on the, yeah, it's sitting on the cushion there. Probably a better picture. Did anyone else have any other questions while we, anyway?
and we are working with all like the local dealers, the big national ones, as well as like the local mom and pop ones in your area. So if you do have if you're a clinician or if you're at a dealer and you wanted to get signed on to be a dealer with Kalogon, please reach out and we'll put you in touch with our local independent rep in your area as well as the TSM, and we'll get the proper paperwork started so we can get you guys signed on as a dealer. I think we can help out as many
Yeah.
people as possible now that we do have the coded cushion.
Yeah, and I think we touched on it a little bit. I'm just looking at this picture, reminding me that the control box and all of the systems, it's run on Bluetooth. So you have to connect to Wi-Fi periodically just to download the firmware to make sure it's up to date. But with everything through Bluetooth, you wouldn't need to be connected to Wi-Fi throughout the day to be able to make those adjustments, as well as like what Zach was mentioning. If you aren't connected to Bluetooth or you're not, somebody who uses a smartphone regularly, you can just have that set and forget it until your next appointment or whenever that next adjustment is necessary.
Gotcha. So Steve asked, how tall is the cushion at various locations? So, depending on what customizations you have, Steve, it's going to vary. So the base layer itself is going to be about 1.5 inches thick, and then it just builds off of that. So if you have a pre-ischial ridge, it adds another inch in there, and then if you have, a lateral thigh support, it would add 1 inch, 2 inch, or 3 inches to the various points. So yeah, it will vary just depending on the customization. So you could have it really minimal if you wanted to, with no pre-ischial ridge and no like buildups. If you didn't want to hit the code, and it would be about 2 inches with the added sunmate foam on top of the base layer. But yeah, it's going to be around probably 3.5 inches to 4 inches on average. Great question. Great question. I was looking through the audience, and I think we might have lost Christina. So we might not get a follow up to that question in there. But can the customizations be changed? So when with the like the actual customizations on like the lateral pelvic supports, like the buildups, those can't be changed. You could have the cushion sent back and we could remake the base. There would be a remake fee for that, Heather. We can go into the app and adjust the settings post surgery. So a lot of times we're seeing, after someone has a flap surgery, they're going into the app, lowering the pressure underneath that spot. And then over time, as they're seeing closure and healing, they're adding more pressure to kind of get the pressure relieving technology. So if you're asking about like the customizations in the app, yeah, you can totally change those pre and post flap surgery. But for the actual buildups, those are going to be built up into like actually in the like cut into the base layer of foam. So you'd have to get the whole base remade if you wanted to change that layer, which is doable. It would just be a fee. Do I need to get fitted by an So Tim, yeah, we do recommend that whenever there's an evaluation that the OT or PT is involved. That way, it's properly spec'd out for the different customizations. And then same with like delivery. If you can have like the clinician there to dial in the settings with a pressure map, it's always recommended for the chair, especially if you need like an LMN. We recommend the evaluation. That way, you can have all that stuff going forward. But not necessarily an OT. We've seen PTs. We've even seen like some ATPs work with like the wound care clinics to get them ordered. So it not necessarily doesn't have to be an OT, but we do see a lot of times like a OT, PT, or someone in that ballpark is involved. When it does not have built-in pressure mapping, it reads through a feedback system through the air bladders. So it's reading the pressure the user is giving off, but it doesn't have any built-in pressure mapping. Great question, though.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, lots of great questions today.
Yeah, great questions. Um, But no, yeah, Tim, especially for like the further customization with the phone app, I do always recommend on delivery having like whatever clinician was involved in the ordering process, having them involved for the delivery. That way you can really just dial in those settings for that specific person's body type. Then once you have that, you see a happy pressure map, hit save, throw the app away, never use it again. The cushion will remember your settings and it won't change them unless you go in there and change them. So Christina, depending on the different cushion they're coming off of, we have seen some really great pressure mapping results. Um, I was just out in Oklahoma this week, and we had a peak pressure on someone of 25 in their hottest point. So it was really good to see that. So we do see really good pressure mapping across the board. That is the one really cool thing with the Orbiter Med is we have our phone app, and when you're pressure mapping someone, you can have the app open right there in real time, make those adjustments through the different cells, see the change happen there in the map, and then get your happy setting for that person, which might be way different than my body type or your body type. Save those settings for them, and then they're good to go. So we have seen it be really good in the sense that you can really dial it in on a pressure map. Um, but yeah, we have been seeing really good pressure mapping results compared to the competitors. If you had someone in mind too, a lot of times whenever we're doing that evaluation with the clinician and the ATP, we're doing like the comparison to send over for like the letter of medical necessity of like the comparing their current wheelchair cushion to what they're mapping on the orbiter med. And that typically has been really good for justification as well.
That's a great question.
Yeah, great question, Tracy. So this month, I'm going to be finishing up my month out in Michigan and in Baltimore. I don't think we have any events in those areas, but we'll be doing a bunch of in services. I know I'm meeting with the University of Michigan out there, so super excited to in service some really new accounts out in those areas. Um, Steve, how's coverage? So it's been good. It's E2609 coded, so it's same as the custom molded cushions out there. We've seen great reimbursement across the board in most every state. So if you're interested in getting one, or if you're a dealer that wants to get signed on, just shoot us your contact info in the chat, and we can follow up with you for sure, and connect you with the proper independent rep and local TSM for your area. Where do you have, Steve? You don't mind me asking, where are you located? Where are you working at? And Heather, typically we will be involved in some sense. Like our independent rep or the ATP will send us the information, kind of work with us a little bit on like the situation, and then for the delivery, if they need us out there, we're involved with the first couple of times. But if our independent rep is local, they're able to handle that as well. So, Heather, where are you located at?
Yeah, I guess while they were responding, Tracy, to answer Tracy's question, I'll be up in Massachusetts next month, but excited to be up there for a new fair in Boston
Oh, cool.
and some other
Um,
in services. Oh, there we go.
Nice. So yeah, Steve,
Yeah,
Minnesota. So Andy would be your TSM, so he can reach out with you. And then
yeah.
Heather, that's going to be Casey Clark is going to be your local independent rep. So if you have a new order, either Casey or myself can be fully involved in that process. Typically, he's great with going out and doing deliveries with the ATPs and the clinicians. So just let me or Casey know, and we can always be involved in that process.
And I know Penelope, she's on the road right now. She's going to be at Abilities Expo in Chicago in 2 weekends. So we're excited to be out in the field there as well. Where's Penelope right now? Is she in
Uh,
Texas?
yes, I believe she's in Texas right now.
Yeah.
And then for Christina, the product provider in Florida. So Andy will be the TSM for Florida, as well as Scott Bonnell is going to be our local independent rep. So Andy and Scott can get in touch and follow up with you there as well. You're welcome, Heather. And then Great questions though today. I feel like
Yeah.
today's like the most involved we've had chat in a while, so I love these questions. I do want to be conscious of everyone's time. Are there any last minute questions before we finish up here? Yeah, please send emails or contact info in the chat if you want us to follow up. Oh, just kidding. Carla said we have their emails.
Yep.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
But no, thank you all so much for the questions today. And then
Yeah.
She said she knows Scott Bonnell, so perfect.
There we
So
go.
yeah, you'll be in great hands there, Christina, with Scott. He can get you demos, set up inserts, all that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you all so much for taking the time to join us today. Um, we are at our cutoff time, so again, if any last minute chat or questions, throw in the chat. But thank you all again, and have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thank you.
See you guys.